Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into this really cool paper from the US Army Research Laboratory that asks a question that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. What happens when we teach a robot how to dream?
I know, it's a wild idea, right? It sounds like the setup for the next sci-fi blockbuster. But the reason scientists are even looking at this has nothing to do with creating some kind of self-aware robot consciousness. The actual answer is way more practical.
That's it, right there. This whole concept of robotic dreams is actually a super clever solution to one of the biggest headaches in AI. How do you make a memory system that's fast, efficient, and actually useful for learning new things?
Okay, so first things first, let's get on the same page. When we say a robot dreams, what are we really talking about? Well, it's not about electric sheep. It's just a really good analogy for a specific kind of memory processing.
It all comes down to something called episodic memory. For you and me, that's how we remember the story of our day, right? The sequence of events. For a robot, it's a log of everything it sees, everything it does. And just like us, for a robot to get smarter, it has to be able to learn from those past experiences. So check this out. The researchers draw this amazing parallel between how we work and how a robot could work. There's a waking mode, where the robot is out there in the world taking in all this new data, but then there's a sleep mode, where it shuts off all that outside noise and just focuses on one thing, making sense of it all.
And that brings us right to the heart of the problem they were trying to solve. You'd think that for a robot, having a perfect memory, remembering absolutely everything, would be a huge advantage. But it turns out it's actually a massive problem.
Seriously, just imagine if you had to mentally scan through every single second of your entire life just to remember what you ate for breakfast this morning. It would take you forever. Well, it's the same thing for a robot. If its memory is just a giant, unprocessed dump of everything it's ever seen, it just grinds to a halt. It can't find the important stuff when it actually needs it.
So you've got two basic choices. You can try to think on the job, frantically searching through your entire memory bank in real time, or you can reflect after the fact, process all those memories later, during that quiet, offline sleep state. And that's exactly what this experiment was designed to test. So to figure out the best approach, the researchers basically set up a competition. They put 3 different memory strategies head-to-head in a simple task. The robot just had to remember that a yellow flashlight always shows up right after a red tool case.
Think of them like this. You've got the librarian, who tries to read every single book in the library to find an answer. Then you have the forgetful assistant, who only remembers the last couple of things that just happened. And finally, you have the night organizer, who comes in after everyone's gone home to neatly sort everything for the next day. Okay, first up, the librarian. This strategy searched through every single memory it had, every single time. And you can see the problem right here on the chart. It's a straight line up. The more memories it has, the longer it takes. We go from 1 second to 3 seconds to 6 seconds. It's just not going to work in the real world. It's way too slow.
Next up, the forgetful assistant. This one only looked at the most recent memories. And yeah, sometimes it's really fast, like under half a second. But then, bam, look at that spike for event 5. When the answer wasn't super recent, the search time just exploded to 4 seconds. You just can't build a reliable system on something that unpredictable.
But then we get to our third contestant, the night organizer. This strategy took a totally different approach. It didn't even try to find the answer while things were happening. Instead, it did all the heavy lifting later, when it was offline.
So this is the dreaming process. It's where the robot takes all that raw, messy data from its day and starts to organize it, to turn it into something genuinely useful. And it all happens during that post-hoc, or after-the-fact, session when it's offline.
It does this in 3 key steps. First, pruning. This is like cleaning house. It just tosses out all the boring, repetitive data where nothing was happening. Second, abstraction. It boils down really complex information into simple, easy-to-use concepts. And third, queuing. Now this is where the real magic happens. It creates direct links between events that are related.
And this table from the paper shows you exactly what that abstraction looks like. So before dreaming, the robot's memory is just this jumble of raw pixel data, right? Red area, 7,500. But after dreaming, boom, it has a simple, useful concept. Type red. It has stripped away all the noise to get to the core idea.
And that leads right into the power of queuing. As the paper says, that last static moment, just seeing the red tool case, becomes a direct cue, a trigger for what's about to happen next, the yellow flashlight appearing. The system learns to connect the dots.
So after all this pruning, abstracting, and queuing, what do you get? Well, you get a memory that isn't some giant, messy junk drawer. It's a perfectly organized library with an amazing index. The robot knows exactly what memory to grab at exactly the right time. And here it is, the payoff. The final retrieval time for our dreaming robot was just 0.208 seconds. It's practically instantaneous. While the other strategies were taking thousands of milliseconds to struggle for an answer, this one had it ready to go in the blink of an eye. It's a massive, massive improvement.
So, okay, a robot that dreams is way, way more efficient. That's cool. But why does this research actually matter beyond just building faster robots? Well, this is where things get really interesting, because it gives us a fascinating window into our own minds. Just look at this comparison. The process the robot uses is almost a mirror image of what neuroscientists believe happens in our own brains when we sleep. The robot prunes useless data, we forget irrelevant details. The robot abstracts raw data into symbols, we form abstract concepts from our experiences. The robot cues events together, our brains strengthen the neural pathways between related memories. It's incredible.
And this is exactly why it has to be an offline, unconscious state. The paper even points out that trying to do all this complex memory reorganization while you're also taking in new information would lead to what they call computational grogginess. You just can't sort yesterday's mail while today's mail is still flooding through the door.
So what's the bottom line here? What should you take away from all this? Well, first, this research provides a powerful computational reason for why sleep is so critical for memory. Second, it shows us a clear path to building much smarter, more responsive AI. And maybe most importantly, it's using robotics to give us a whole new way to understand ourselves.
And all of that leaves us with one final, pretty profound question to chew on. We've known for decades that we need sleep to learn, to form memories. And now, it looks like for an artificial intelligence to do the same thing effectively, it has to do something strikingly similar. So if a robot must sleep to learn, what does that really tell us about why we do?